This is a film study look at Mark Andrews and his record-setting day in the Ravens' Week 11 win against the Browns, 23-16. Not from an individual standpoint in terms of the win against the Browns, but he's now the franchise leader in receiving yards. Obviously, we're going to get right to the film and talk about that catch and obviously the tush-push boot, whatever people are calling it at this point, that gives the Ravens a 23-16 margin and allows a dominant defense to close things out in the fourth quarter. This will be the first walkthrough or discussion point about the 35-yard run to win the game. I think the ball is snapped with about 2:40 left in the game. It's a beautiful play call. I'm going to compare it to the concept, the tush-push toss that we used last week with Lamar. Notice where Ricard is set up as one of the fullbacks, along with Derrick Henry. It makes sense, right? If you're going to actually tush-push and try to gain the first down, then you want some powerful guys to push from the side, the angled behind the quarterback / tight end, in this case, Mark Andrews. The line to gain was actually shorter than I thought. I said in the reaction video last night, I thought it was a long 1 yard. That's not true. It's actually just outside of, I think, the 34-yard line. But in any case, as far as a toss play goes, Andrews is turning the wrong way. He's opening to Lamar. That would be pitch. And toss, he would open opposite. But he's kind of got to. In order to get out of here and follow Ricard to the downside of the screen, it's so appropriate that Grant Delpit ends up being a guy that, kind of gets expanded here. Really great job by Charlie Kolar and Ricard, for that matter. It's a smart play call for a lot of reasons. Number one, we've got Myles Garrett away from us. He's to the top side, the right-hand side of the Browns defense. Number two, it's using the gravity of Lamar and Henry to pull it, at least one second-level defender. And I think it's Schlesinger, the rookie inside linebacker, who, of course, got a pick and has been fantastic in 2025 for them from a production standpoint. Since he kind of stepped up into all this trash at first, that gave Kolar a better opportunity to climb to him. The only thing that could have made this better is if somehow this was Grant Delpit trying to dive at him, but that would have required some hustle, number one, and number two, an actual ability to get off this block. He's been a guy that's talked trash about the Ravens about the Ravens run game, among other things, along with Jerry Jeudy. So really appropriate, if you ask me, that we pretty much went at him there late in the fourth quarter to take the lead. I'll actually break down that play a little bit more in detail and compare it to the 3rd and 1 tush-push toss against the Vikings last week near the end of this video. This is Andrews' record-setting catch to set the franchise record for receiving yards, that is. And it plays off of his over-route tendency. And so what I mean is Andrews so often is running this route across the field at various depths. But it plays off of that. He's going to beat Denzel Ward here. Watch what the Ravens do with Myles Garrett off the left side, by the way. We're talking about right here. We'll let the play run through one more time and just finish up. The catch by Andrews, Lamar, when he did have time, was able to get the ball out accurately, quickly, and in this case, help Andrews, set the team record for receiving yards. But watch how the Ravens deal with Garrett first, with Likely, pushing him, knocking him down to Stanley. And then because of the pass rush, the manner in which this nose tackle moved, that allowed Voorhees to work back out to Garrett. So functionally, we've triple teamed him on this play. That's why things look, so clean here versus much of the rest of the game where, our offensive line got totally dominated. Same play from the end zone, from the all-22 angle. Here's Andrews spot shadowed in yellow down into the boundary. Did a lot of work into the boundary. He got motion by Wester across, and that's going to pull, I think it's Grant Delpit with him, number one. Number two, Henry's going to cross Lamar's face and go down into the boundary. And what that does is it'll occupy this inside linebacker. And it'll kind of free up that window for Andrews. Again, Andrews is kind of making it look like he's running it over and then bringing it back down here. And he'll basically sit right in the window where this inside linebacker is. He doesn't sit there. That's where the throw goes through. And he's being pulled by Henry's route, crossing the quarterback's face, crossing Lamar's face. You can see what I'm talking about. Lamar's already getting rid of the football. We, again, functionally, we triple-teamed Garrett, and that allows a free lane for Lamar with time, clean throwing platform. If we could have had that 22 times, we're probably looking at a different day for Lamar statistically and from an efficiency standpoint. Simple concept, clean and easy. One of the few times that we actually had a clean throwing platform and a direct line to throw the football to a receiver. This is still on the first possession. Andrews actually lined up to the field here with the ball on the left hash. Lamar had just scrambled for a first down. 17-yard gain, I think. The Browns brought six-man pressure, and Lamar scrambled. It was a third down. And the very next play is one of our really failed, wasteful attempts on a first-and-goal run play to Henry where pretty much everybody knows where he's getting the football. I think it happened 4 times yesterday. Maybe it wasn't 4, but it was 3. In any case, Andrews matched up against Delpit. This is the one he complains about face mask at the line of scrimmage. I think he's got a legitimate gripe. You'll kind of see it here. You'll see Andrews' helmet kind of get dragged down briefly. But the refs have so many things to look at. I'm not sure how you can expect them to see all of that. In any case, it's a ball that Lamar puts in a location where only Andrews can catch it, which is fine with me. Delpit's in good relationship on the underside shoulder, so Lamar can't throw this in a direct line. There's got to be a certain trajectory and then location on the back end. In this case, I think we got a chance to make a play. It's a one-handed catch. Rewind it or show you the all 22 angle. Here's Garrett from the top side. It's man, which the Browns major in at this point. He's matched up against Delpit, like I said, down here on the right-hand side of the offense. It's an empty set, and I think we're going for – we did this a ton yesterday where basically Hopkins is sitting down on this snag-type concept and trying to pick the second-level defender, in this case the inside linebacker, because they play so much man. We've been able to do that in the past. Lamar is certainly looking there, right? He's looking – basically I think he's looking to Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell, trying to run out into the flats. Not necessarily a wheel here down in the red zone, but we've beaten them on this route before. Remember 2023 up in Cleveland. I think it's Melvin Gordon beats JOK on a 3rd and 6 wheel route, where we're picking him, obviously, because we know they're playing man. One of the weaknesses of their defense is that, it's pretty predictable. In any case, first possession, we settle for a field goal and only go up 3-0. We'll move forward to the next Ravens possession. Again, we're really only focusing on Andrews here, but I have some discussion points about the general game flow throughout. So second possession, it's a 1st and 10. He's into the boundary. Ball is on the right hash for the Ravens offense. Cleveland has tied the game at 3-all. So this is a basic route that Andrews is running. And he's going to get a pick that helps him. I don't apologize for it, man. So many teams use this stuff. You guys can't see him necessarily. You'll get it from the all 22 angle, but Flowers is basically running his route to the outside shoulder of, I think it's Hickman, the safety, and that basically makes him slower getting to Andrews' route on the outside. And it's an easy completion into the boundary. Quick completion. When we were able to get the ball out fast, we were okay, but so many times throughout the game, not just the first half, Lamar had guys in his face, particularly Myles Garrett. Same play from the all 22 angle. Like I said before, the ball is on the right hash. It's a 1st and 10. And we're an 11 personnel group. There's the route structure that you got. Andrews, pressing off vertical, and then he'll take his route to the outside. And then Flowers is going to bring his route to the top of the numbers in. So he's lined up basically on the outer portion of the numbers, but he's veering to the inside. He's aiming for the second-level defender. He's aiming for Hickman to screen him, pick, whatever, shield concept, whatever you want to call it. You can see that it's occurred here. Lamar getting rid of the ball fast. He had to. Short completion into the boundary. Again, simple, easy concept, way to beat their structure, their man-free structure that relies on, heavy pressure from their front four or if they bring pressure 5 or 6. I don't apologize for it. As a Lamar fan or a Ravens fan, you shouldn't either. Patrick Mahomes makes a living off of throws like this. For large stretches and in big moments, things are created for him such that, he's got to recognize it on the field. He's got to get him in the right look. He deserves all the credit for that. So does Lamar, and so does Mark Andrews, in my opinion. 3rd and 4 here. Moving forward, we're into the third quarter. It's the 7th possession. He's on the right-hand side of the Ravens offense with the ball in the middle of the field. So it's a man concept. There's very few guys who can do what we're trying to get accomplished here with Keaton Mitchell, which is, first of all, can he actually chip Myles Garrett? Probably not, but we're chipping him into a wheel. So, the acceleration it takes to get that done. This is man-free. but Delpit will add on rush to the blitz because he's responsible for Ricard. So once he sees Ricard stay in and pass pro, he becomes an add-on rusher. So sometimes it looks like, a 5, a 6-man rush, whatever. To me, you've got predetermined rushers here, all of those guys. This is the low hole dropper that they've really just turned into a spy, okay, in man free. And then Delpit is rushing to blitz because he saw Ricard pass pro. I will give you the end zone angle so you can see what I'm talking about over here with Hopkins and Keaton Mitchell. It's essentially the same concept I just showed you down in the end zone where Lamar threw it to Andrews on the same exact route concept. This is, to me, I would call, snag wheel with an over from the other side. We started running this maybe, I think it's Rashad Bateman's rookie year, so would it be 2021? And a couple of times Andrews and Bateman were like kind of close to each other. Let me give you the end zone angle so you can see what I'm saying. I'm talking about down here to the bottom side of the screen. So Hopkins is the X, and he's running this short, shallow. In 2021, at times when we ran this, it would end up deeper down the field. And this over route, whatever you want to call it, from Andrews would kind of end up almost in the same space. It was actually against the Minnesota Vikings in 21, Bateman's rookie year. It's a 3rd and 4. Like I said, I like the concept because we've got a couple of options here. The wheel by Mitchell after potentially chipping or at least trying to disrupt Myles Garrett on the pass rush. As an aside, they did this a ton. Walk the inside linebacker up over top of the guard to Garrett's side. Just trying to occupy that guard. Let him know you're not going to be able to jump out there and help. I could be a blitzer. So they're just freeing up opportunities for their best player. It's smart. But Andrews wins against Hickman, who played really well yesterday. I didn't really expect that type of play from him. In this case, clean win for Andrews. We're trying to get Mitchell on this wheel again that we beat them on in 2023. I think we targeted them twice that day. It's the day that the Ravens played against the second or third string quarterback. I forget, Dorian Thompson, I think. But in any case, a really nice play here. The design has been around for a while. It's something Lamar has been able to execute when he's had time. Move into the fourth quarter here. This one I think is almost intercepted. That should say pass incomplete. And it's a zone from the Browns down in the red zone. So we're down 16-10. Andrew's going to run all the way across the field. I think at first Lamar's looking here to Hopkins, kind of like this little pseudo slant, if you will. We leave Stanley one-on-one with Garrett. It kind of comes back to haunt us a little bit, at least in terms of the pressure, the way the pressure works out. Stanley got kind of getting knocked back, walked back into Lamar. Voorhees late, going to peel out there to try to help. Just can't do so. Garrett is he's so explosive and so quick, obviously. Like I said, I think Lamar was initially looking at this route, but the inside linebacker, one of these two guys, I forget which one, we'll get the end zone angle, one of those two guys kind of got in the window initially. I think it's Devin Bush. Throw really has an opportunity to be intercepted by Hickman. He was the safety to the side to start the play. Really is in the middle of the field. Andrews running all the way across here. What do we need in order to get that done? Time. In order to get that done, it's time. So this, to me, basically is, I would call this a climb concept. So Hopkins is running a quick slant, whatever you want to call it. And then later in the progression, if we have time, Andrews will be over the top of that because we would have cleared out that defender, Ward. If we don't throw the ball to Hopkins, then presumably that defender, Ward, is in man, and he's vacated that area. And that's exactly what happens here. We don't get time by the pass pro. We get time because Lamar escapes. He runs away from Myles Garrett. Unfortunately, it's an opportunity for Hickman to make a play. You'll get the end zone angle so you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, how much fault do you give Lamar? Sure, fault him here. Our defense is balling at this point, so we don't want to turn the football over. In my opinion, I think Cleveland at a certain point in the fourth quarter, I should say, it became obvious. Like, their play calling on offense was terrible. They were not going to get anything done. Trying to go shotgun, throw the football against us, just really not in their best interest with their personnel and their offensive line. But you've got another situation where the nose tackle kind of steps to Linderbaum. Voorhees trying to peel out late, not able to get there. Lamar definitely looking at Hopkins. Hopkins off screen to our right, and then here's Andrews working his way across, running across the back of the end zone. and Hickman does a nice job. Here, it looks like there's an opportunity to maybe throw this ball out in front. Watch Hickman turn quickly and go with Andrews. Maybe he had already started turning or drifting in that manner. I think he does a really nice job here of seeing what's happening, understanding the route concept, and then getting out in front of this, trying to get out in front of this. Lamar actually then tries to throw it to the backside, I guess. He's under pressure. He's under duress. It's a really nice track by Hickman, if you ask me, to get in position to make that play. It's unfortunate that Lamar throws it there and an interceptable pass, clearly. Fortunate for us, we're able to get a field goal to cut it to 16-13. I believe that we're on to the 10th possession here. Defense is absolutely balling at this point. This is going to be a 3rd and 6. This is what I think now is a DPI on Ward at the bottom of the screen. Andrews is located in the slot to the right. Ball is in the middle of the field. Mug look by the Browns. So, these routes, you say, well, you're not going to get these routes off. Well, we do. Fortunately, Lamar's throwing the ball within some constricted traffic of the pocket. He had to step up a little bit. Basically, I think you almost got to out and up by Andrews, and then an outside release go somewhere down in this area. Wallace will do a really nice move with his left hand to kind of clear Ward and allow himself to get past him. In any case, it's definitely stick split zero with all of these DBs looking in at the quarterback. And basically, as soon as the quarterback looks at them, they know, you're probably being targeted, so just read the receiver, read the route. It's a hybrid man-zone technique, in my opinion. As the routes work their way downfield, it clearly is man. I think we're fortunate to get this one off with Lamar having to step up and then throwing the football not too far away from a couple of Browns pass rushers, behind him. I think it's pretty obvious that this could have been called. Ward's not making a play on the ball at all. He's just chopping down on Tylan Wallace's hands. And, could Lamar have put this in a better location? I mean, maybe, I guess, but I see Wallace's hand getting pulled down by Ward, who's not making an attempt on the ball. I understand why people are complaining about this one. Didn't really necessarily think so live. I tend to be a defense guy who favors the defense, even when it's going against my team. Same play from the end zone angle. There's Garrett on the left-hand side. And they've overloaded to the right, to our right, they being the Browns. So you got 4 guys over here, possibly to force us into a one-on-one backside with Stanley. That inside linebacker, we're very lucky that he's dropping out of here. So he's not actually bringing pressure through that front side A-gap. As it stands, Linderbaum steps to him. Defensive tackle, for whatever reason, is stepping to Linderbaum. I don't necessarily understand this stunt, but it works out for Cleveland. You got the safety pressure off the edge, Hickman. Garrett in chase, winning. Bush on the blitz, one of 2 inside linebackers walked up. This is a dangerous play for us in that Lamar is throwing this within, so many guys being around him. It's not a D tackle that was near him. It was actually Devin Bush. My apologies for that. But you get an idea of kind of what I'm talking about. And I think it's a real opportunity for people to talk about what should and what shouldn't be called a pass interference. At this point, I don't know. After witnessing what happened to the Detroit Lions in the 4th quarter last night against the Eagles, terrible call on Rock Ya-Sin against A.J. Brown. Who the heck knows what a pass interference penalty is? Certainly not the NFL. As it stands, we tied the game at 16-all. Defense pitching a complete shutout against Shedeur Sanders. So I believe this is the 11th possession now, and it's a 3rd and 1. So this was all set up by a great play by DeAndre Hopkins on a 2nd and 11. Lamar throws a slant to him. I think it's real heavy traffic in terms of the coverage by the corner. And I think they've overshifted to the wrong side. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's because Henry's over there or Ricard. But we're tackle over. We're unbalanced over here to this side. So we're talking about guard, tackle, tight end, and Kolar. We've got numbers to our left, but Henry's offset to our right. That could be the reason. But in any case, you can see that I think it's Graham, the rookie, is trying to push 93 down. He's trying to push him away to the other side. They're confused. We don't get any push at all. I think it's right guard Rosengarten kind of stood up, but it's Myles Garrett who gets really into his chest right here. Slow hands by Rosengarten. Linderbaum and Voorhees are firing out. Other guys just stand up. And it's not hard to figure out who those people are, right? It's the right side of our offensive line generally. Sets up a critical 4th and 1. I don't know about you, but in this moment, I was like, I'm not sure what we should do. Should we go for it? Should we kick the field goal from that distance? I think the ball is on the 35 or just inside the 35. And we come out in the tush push, and it's just so crazy that we ran this last week with, the ball's on the right hash here against the Vikings at 3rd and 1. I'll just let it flow through, basically. Andrews obviously at tight end. He's going to toss it to Lamar behind Henry. So, Henry's leading the way for Lamar. I think one thing to talk about is that it's opposite of Ricard. Ricard happens to be lined up as the tight end here, because we're doing this from a 22 personnel grouping. 22 personnel grouping, excuse me. Here's your 2 tight ends, Andrews and Kolar, and then your 2 running backs is Henry and Ricard. We really outflanked their defense here. Rosengarten getting out in front. It's a toss to Lamar. Great catch. We talked about that last week in the tush push toss video. If you didn't check that out, you're more than welcome to. I'll post it up in the description. So what do we do this week? We come out in the same formation in a critical 4th and 1 and go, I guess you call it tush push boot. It's a naked boot, except for the fact that there is one lead blocker out in front, Ricard, and he's dedicated to the force player, which is Delpit. I would guess that Delpit is man on Kolar, and on the opposite side, Ward would be man on Tylan Wallace. The split flow nature of it, with Henry and Lamar going to the top side, our left, and then Ricard going to the right, followed by Andrews eventually, totally gets one of their second-level defenders out of the equation. So we're talking about it's Hickman, number 33. He's ended up going the wrong way to match Henry and Lamar, but I mean, you can't really see stuff in there. First of all, and then who would have guessed in the biggest moment of the game, the biggest moment of the season, actually, maybe for the Ravens, that we go behind Ricard and Kolar with Andrews running the football and not Lamar or Derrick Henry on an option. Credit to Monken for the play call. I was laughing almost hysterically during this run just because of the decision to go for it this way. Thank God we didn't actually run the tush push. I think they've kind of got it stacked up. If I have it correct, the line to gain is about right there, crooked line by me. It's just outside of the 34-yard line. So it actually was in tight end sneak territory. The reverse pivot nature allows Andrews to get out of there quickly, as opposed to if he had turned the, quote, right way, opened this way to fake the toss to Lamar, maybe that would have, held a second defender at the second level, but I don't think so. I think Schlesinger is playing the tush push, the tight end sneak. And so we had to do this to get Andrews out there quickly. Biggest moment of the year, in my opinion. And we go to Mark Andrews. How could you have predicted something like that, right? No one could have, in that it's going to be week 11, and you're going to need a 35-yard run on a 4th and 1 from Mark Andrews to get to 5-5. It's just totally improbable. Appropriate, however, that on the day that he set the Ravens record for total yards receiving, that he comes up big. He only had 3 catches for 32 yards. That 35-yard touchdown run, like I said, you couldn't have predicted it at any time. Certainly not earlier in the season, even yesterday. In any case, it was a funny moment for real, in that Monken decided to do that. You have to imagine the trepidation that he has, or anxiety, as he's calling that play and as we're lining up. The one thing I will say is, imagine, I don't know if we had any timeouts left, but I'm wondering what would have happened if we go to call that play and Garrett's on our right, meaning Garrett is set to our right-hand side. I don't think that we had a couple of plays called there with Andrews as the tight end / quarterback in that moment. I wouldn't suspect we have 2 plays called to change, depending on where he is. Man, a great moment. Lamar clearly is dealing with some type of injuries at this point, not playing to his standard yesterday against the Browns. He was influenced by the pressure, hindered by the pressure of Garrett in particular. I think that was predictable based on our offensive line, the lack of quality and consistency against their defensive line, which has a great pass rush. Andrews picked him up. Two other veterans, Chibodi Awuzie, who I'll try to have a film study out on this evening, was fantastic in coverage. Nate Wiggins had an interception as well. Definitely played better than he had the previous 2 weeks from the all-22 angle. Really only watched the first half of the defense so far. Hopkins, that catch on 2nd and 11, that slant is underrated and probably not talked about enough. That set up the 3rd and 1, and then this 4th and 1 that won us the football game. The Ravens found a way to get it done. It was ugly. Certainly not smooth at all, but I guess, the Browns do that to you to a degree. I do think it's worth mentioning we had 351 yards of offense. That's the second highest total that they've allowed in 2025. The highest total was the Patriots, I think, 3 weeks ago. And then Andrews was our second leading rusher after Derrick Henry. In any case, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. I wanted to highlight the differences between the tush-push toss and the tush-push boot. It's really, difficult to apply an accurate name to the concept. I don't know what Monken called it in a press conference. It's just a great play call, a great concept in that moment, and gutsy by our staff. Putting Andrews, Ricard, and Kolar in that position, to take us home and get us to 5-5. I appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section, number one. Number two, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Mark Andrews and how that play call from Todd Monken won us the football game, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.